Hey, what's happening, all you humans out there? I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, coming at you again with another Star versus the Forces of Evil episode review. This time is episode 7, with the A side being titled Out of Business and the B side being titled Kelly's World. We open up with Star receiving a letter from the same ransom carrier, who actually turns out to also be general, male person, honestly. And as it turns out, Star got basically junk mail from QuestBuy saying that they have an out of business sale going on. However, Marco is ecstatic to hear that QuestBuy is going out of business, as he has always hated QuestBuy, specifically because of the constant situations where his life was put in peril or he was put in a very anger inducing situation when he went there. However, Star convinces him to go with her to QuestBuy to just, buy some random crap, with the explanation that one day he might, end up losing or have his wallet kind of wear and tear, so he should buy like 16 more, as he kind of estimates. So they end up going to QuestBuy with Janica, who honestly just shows up. And when Marco kind of questions how she got there, starts just like, yeah, don't question it. We're going to QuestBuy. So Janica's just along for the ride in this episode. However, Star has some trouble pushing them through the portal, as there's such a huge assortment of people coming to buy stuff here. And, even Janica ends up being just kind of carried away in the crowd for the most part. And as Marco and Star do their best in order to find the wallets, they do come upon them only to find that the shelf is completely barren. And even when an employee brings out more stock, he is completely decimated, like just right there and then. And, it's basically like a Black Friday sale. However, we come to find out that Janica actually managed to steal a QuestBuy employee's shirt, so that way she could have access to the various off-limit area, employee-only areas of QuestBuy. Which, that's just Janica in a nutshell. However, they come upon the storeroom only to find it to be completely barren. However, as they search through, Marco comes upon the exact amount of wallets that he was looking for. And, Star, thinking it's mighty convenient, actually ends up thinking of something that she wishes to see, which is a giant unicorn cake. And, as they come to find out, everything that they might wish for actually appears right in this storeroom. Jenica's weird requests also get fulfilled as well. And that girl ain't right. However, one of the employees comes out to say that, he doesn't quite mind them being back there, as ultimately their brains will be turned to mush with overexposure, as everyone who comes to the back storeroom ends up kind of losing themselves to the excitement of having everything they could possibly wish for. It's also revealed that some people actually just never quite leave and just have cages set up so that, as basically like habitats for them, as they just end up being lost forever in the back storeroom. However, Star and Marco and Janica are just like, yeah, we'll be fine. We've been through stuff like that before. It's honestly kind of an awkward situation, as Janica kind of summons all these various wishes for a legion of evil Marcos and baby Marcos with, hands as wheels as hands and stuff like that. Really weird requests. But they ultimately do end up just straight up leaving at the end of the day, like no questions asked. And it's kind of odd, that's just how things end up. No real carry on, no real development from there. It just kind of slowly ends for the most part. It's honestly, this episode as a whole was really kind of weird to me, because it's just like, what was the point of this? I mean, I guess it was just a general lol random episode and all that good stuff. Nothing really overly impactful here, but it just kind of starts, continues, ends. Nothing really of impact really happens in this episode. And honestly, like, is the Legion of Evil Marco's gonna make their escape? And Marco has this moment towards the end where he just kind of wants to go back for like all the baby Marcos and the other Marcos, and then Questbot just kind of disappears. And it just feels very off. Like, it's just weird. It just ends. It's very odd. We then cut to the B-side called Kelly's World, where we come upon the world of the Woolets. And Marco comes upon Kelly's house, although he's not quite sure where the doorbell is at first. He then ends up being attacked by this very hairy little man, only for it to be revealed that that is in fact Kelly's father. And, in her world, combat is, how things are kind of done. So he's just basically saying hello. However, when Marco comes in, it's kind of shown that Kelly's still kind of brooding over all the things that happened with Tad. And, at first you're kind of like, oh, it's because Tad died during towards the end of season 3, but as it turns out, that's not actually the case. In fact, Tad's alive. He actually managed to survive somehow and just kind of went on to become a nest, basically. And he keeps hitting up Kelly just to be like, hey, I was thinking about you, and how you need to, just wanted to tell you that I'm devoting myself to this noble cause and all that. And it's all the things that my friend hates about Greg Sipes, because he's of the opinion that Greg Sipes is this, whippy dippy hippie and all that good stuff, and he just has this pretentious voice to him. But, he doesn't really play pretentious characters, so I never really took that to heart. But with Tad's character, it's just like, yeah, there it is. There's the pretentiousness. So it's just like, well done, Greg Sipes. You lived up to a stereotype my friend had for you. But, Marco still wants to hang out with Kelly, and even if it just means running errands with her for the most part. So, Kelly bestows upon Marco this long little woolet hair and stuff like that, so they can go out and just hang out in the world. And then when they leave, it's revealed that the house was not a house, but in fact Kelly's mom, which raises so many questions. So many questions. And as they end up riding the bus, it's explained that, various forms of combat, are how you pay for stuff in the Willet world, where Marco unfortunately finds out that a punch is for a bus ticket. However, he ends up insulting an old lady when he doesn't fight her over the seat, which is hilarious in and of its own right. But honestly, I love this episode just because of the quirkiness of the characters, the various designs, and just the way that they do things in this world. It's just like, gotta fight me in order to get what you want. And it's just like, man, ain't that some shit? It's like a Street Fighter world. And, Kelly explains to him, it's just like, that is the greatest insult you could ever bestow upon a Woolet. So, Bus basically breaks out into one big brawl trying to reclaim the old lady's besmirched honor and all that good stuff. And so, as Kelly and Marco go about their little day out on the town, he kind of asks her about various things about, martial arts and stuff like that in the Woolette world, where Kelly actually ends up revealing that they have a specific type of martial art. I think it was hair fu or wolf fu or something like that. But they end up kind of bonding over the various moves within the book. And Kelly goes on about how she had this history of combat and all that. Martial arts moves, which just shows off the bonding that Marco and Kelly can have. It's just like because they just have this love of martial arts, honestly. So it's just like it's almost like they were perfect for each other. They even come upon this section of this twin style martial arts where it's like two Willettes just join forces to become this unstoppable hurricane of disaster, basically. And Marco suggests that they should team up one day and try it out for the most part. Unfortunately, they end up being interrupted by Tad once again later on with their reading, with him just going on about his, nesting and all that good stuff. However, because of this, Kelly actually realizes that they only have 5 minutes left in order to return her library book. And should she not actually return it on time, the penalty is, of all things, for her to have her hair cut off. Which is just like, dude, that's a pretty steep penalty for a library book. Like, wow. But, Kelly manages to get it in on time, only for it to be revealed that she had to turn it in the previous day. And, she kind of resigns herself to her fate of just having all of her hair cut off. Because it's just like, she's under the assumption, it's just like, man, my life has just been, pretty crap up until this point. This might as well happen as well. But Marco intervenes, saying that he doesn't want Kelly to suffer any longer, and he will fight the librarian over Kelly keeping her hair. And the librarian is ecstatic about this, having always wanted to fight a human, although Marco is ultimately just a human in this case. But, Kelly decides that she'll team up with Marco in order to save her hair. And so she brings out her family sword, which is pretty badass. Honestly, this episode made me love Kelly the most because just they have good chemistry together. Honestly, it's very fun. Just seeing them just kind of do their own thing. And so they go at it with the librarian, and as the fight goes on and she starts to get overwhelmed, she breaks up into these smaller Willettes, all with their each individual weaponry and flares and maces and daggers. So Kelly and Marco end up outnumbered, but they use the power of the combined technique that they learned from the book of Willette martial arts in order to take down the Willette librarian horde, basically. And so they just decimate them. And, they kind of bond over the fact that it was pretty fun. That's the thing. Margot's always been great at martial arts. Kelly's whole society runs off of combat. It's a good pairing for the most part. But it's also revealed that, previously Marco has suggested to Kelly to just block Tad, and at first it seemed like she did. But as it turns out, she actually couldn't bring herself to do it. As she's at this weird transitional phase where she's just still trying to get over him completely. There's still this interest she has within her for Tad, but she is open to possibly moving on. And Marco kind of reveals that he's in the same situation in terms of Star, where he still has feelings for her, but he's also open to being in a relationship with Kelly, basically. He doesn't say it in so many words, but it's very much implied there. And Kelly makes it known that she's be interested in that as well. And they kind of bond over this fact. And Kelly also, and because of like this explosion of a flare that creates this romantic mood amongst the chaos, Kelly, propositions that they should be breakup buddies, basically help each other transition into being in their own relationship, basically. And, they kind of walk off hand in hand, more or less becoming a couple, but not in so many words. And it's a very sweet end to a very fun episode. Honestly, this is probably one of my favorite episodes of Star Versus. Just, great characterization. The bond between Marco and Kelly is really amazing. To the point where I wouldn't mind not seeing Star and Marco get together if I could keep these two together. It's hard to say, but Curse of the Blood Moon also came out, so I need to check that out. But let's keep it centralized on this episode. What did you think about the Quest Buy episode and how weird that ended? And, what did you think about the whole situation with Kelly and Marco? Did you actually find this episode as charming as I did? Because honestly, I love Kelly as a character. Honestly, if I were to see a spin-off series that was just about Kelly going on adventures, I'd be down with that for a couple of seasons. But hey, tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. How did you feel about this episode as a whole, and what was your favorite or least favorite part? And hey, how about leaving me a like if you liked what I had to say in this video, or a dislike if you didn't? And hey, how about subscribing? Because I will definitely continue to bring you more hair-raising adventures of Star versus the forces of evil. And if you want to find me on any other social media platforms, Google me. I'm on everything. But until then, hey, you have a very lovely day. But until then, peace.